Everyone, it's Margitt. I'm going to be talking on this video about my really powerful experience of grieving motherhood as my little one left for college. And I knew it was going to be big, and it was very powerful, and I really want to share this experience with you. I feel like a lot of women do this, and we really do it in secret or in private. And I really wanted to share this with you to tell other women that they're not alone, because it was so powerful for me. So I kind of knew that this was going to be big. I could start to feel the quivering about a year ago, as my daughter was getting ready to apply for colleges, get back from colleges. She was very excited about this new stage in her life. She's in this maiden phase where she's getting ready to explore her world outside of the family, and is excited and is getting this taste of freedom, and it was really exciting. So I could feel that this was going to be really hard for me, but I tried to tap into it, but it wasn't time. And so I continued to stay present with what was happening with her, and got to enjoy that last year with her at home. And I knew it was going to be big, and I've had experiences with grief before. In the last 7 years have been just really powerful sitting with death. And I knew that the time would come when she would be leaving, and it did. I left her in her dorm. She looked radiant. She was so grateful and thanking both my husband and I for this great opportunity. And about a block away from the dormitory, it started. The quivering exploded, and I grieved for weeks after that. I could not stop crying after that. So I knew to trust the process, and I knew this because I had many experiences with death since about 2013. 2013, I did a women's retreat, and I was confronted with my fear of death. Did not even know that I was sitting with this fear, but it came forward. And when I observed my life, like in my young 20s and 30s, I could see ways that I kind of tiptoed around death because of my fear. And I just thought it was just part of who I am. I didn't really think of it as a fear. But when I look back in my young 20s, when I was a cardiac nurse at the University of Michigan, I remember punching in every morning and saying, please, no one die on my shift. Not on my shift, not today. And in 3.5 years, nobody did. And there was many people that had passed on that unit while I was there. But I knew that I could not handle it, and the universe supported me. But now in your 40s, it's time to hit the pavement and start getting serious. And so I was confronted with that fear, and then that kind of opened up opportunities for more death experiences to come my way. During that time, I was in really a dark period. I lost a lot. I started letting go of codependency, of toxic relationships. My father died during that time. I had health issues. I had parts of my marriage were disintegrating. So it was this opportunity to continue to grieve and let go and die. And as I was going through that death process over and over again, I was able to see that there was, just like a butterfly, there was an opportunity for growth and for opportunity for growth and possibilities when I went through the grieving process. And so this, I think, all prepared me in the last 7 years really for this process of letting go of this motherhood. Mothering is something that I identify with so easily. As a child, I was in that role. I became a nurse. I loved mothering my children. And so it was a huge identity that I've had in this lifetime and probably many lifetimes. So it was just very easy, and for it to go away in the way that I know it, of taking care of the physical needs of the family and the children, it was devastating for me. And I knew that I was stepping into this new phase of my womanhood that I talked about in one of my other videos, of this matriarch and enchantress phase that I didn't really understand what it was all about, because I identified and had to let the motherhood go before I go into this new phase. So I was able to let it all out. I cried for weeks and weeks and weeks. There was times where it was so big in my solar plexus, in my gut area, that I would be vomiting. There were times where there were sounds that I was making, and I knew through the work of my woman's work and through the work with Kali and the dark goddesses that this was just part of the grieving process. And to move this was my gift of the feminine. This was my gift to feel deeply as a woman and to let it go. We cycle every 28 days. There is a constant death and rebirth process going on. And I knew this from the work of holding women and witnessing women through the process and learning about and being just so passionate about these cycles, that I knew that this was a process. So I continued to feel deeply, and let it all out. My husband was getting kind of worried, and I just knew that I was just going to take all the time that I needed and to find my safe space and just to continue to let it out. After that was kind of clearing up, I mean, I'm still sad. I still get triggered when she leaves, but it's not to that great intensity. That was, I think, for lifetimes, or at least in this lifetime, that grieving. And then after that process, I got into this anger and rage phase where the shit that was coming out of my mouth, it didn't even consciously connect. It was very ugly. It was very angry that I had to leave this stage of my life, and I was pissed off. And so a lot of this anger, and then when I let it out, I asked, is there more? And more came out and more came out. And that was a very exhausting time. And then once that fizzled away, I began to weep again for women. And my husband's like, why are you crying again? And I'm like, because I'm crying for the women who can't cry. I'm crying for the women who can't feel, that are afraid to feel, who don't feel safe to feel, that are afraid to feel vulnerable, who've told to be quiet, who've told don't be hysterical and out of control. I cry for all of those women who have not been able to be in touch with their gifts of the divine feminine, to let go and to die and to grieve so that they can be reborn and gifted a new dawn. So I cried for them too. And now I see that I'm sitting out here, allowing myself to have time and space, that I'm beginning to taste this new taste of freedom. This is the gift of that. This is the gift of the death for me, is this freedom of choice. Since I have been mothering and holding space for others and being responsibility for the home and the children for so long, I'm taking that energy and bringing it back to myself. And that gives me such a sense of power and a sense of freedom. Do I want to go this way? Do I want to go this way? Or do I not want to go at all? And it's really all up to me on what I want to do. And it's very big and it's very scary at times, but also there is this sense of excitement, of adventure that I am playing with, and it's very fun. And so I want this for all women. We are constantly dying and rebirthing ourselves every month, and there's always an opportunity for growth and expansion. So I say to women, find your safe space, find that time for you if you feel that you need to explore those feelings, and we can do this with journaling, with meditation, dance, hiking, being out in nature, but just to know that you're not alone. That you're not alone doing this, that we are supported by our ancestors who love us and all these helping spirits, and that this is the power of the feminine. This is the power of being a woman, is to allow this process to happen. And so when I was talking to friends about this process, there were women that shared stories about either themselves or their mothers, and about themselves as how they would, cry on their children's bed for weeks. how much they miss them, how much they don't like the empty house, and how hard it is to go through this process of grief. There were other women who shared about their mothers who isolated themselves, became very depressed. One woman shared with me a story about her mother just continued to shop and fill herself with merchandise and retail, and continues to do that. Continues to do that still. And so there's different ways that we will cope with grief. We will find ways to fill up that or push it down. And I feel that can cause a lot of illness and sickness later on in life. For it needs to be really felt and looked at, and then allowed to let go, so that we can continue to cycle healthy into our aging years. So be kind to yourself, allow yourself the space, and I encourage you to continue to feel and to trust the process that life is giving you. And I want to say thank you if you're still watching this video. Thank you so much for listening to me today and allowing me to share my story with you. And hopefully this inspired you in some way. And I feel that the more we begin to have these conversations of how powerful we are and how we are cyclic beings, that we can have so much more love for each other, our brothers and our sisters, seeing each other in such beauty and light, and then eventually we can heal ourselves and then heal the planet. So I love you, and I hope to see you all soon, and I want you to take care of yourself. Take care.